Hello YouTube. You may remember the video about the Derptop's power supply that I made. It's an FSP group power supply. It's an FSP model FSP 15050GLT. And it's of course an active PSU power supply. Now the symptom that was happening with this is that the 3.3 voltage was high. It was going up to like 3.5, 3.6, which of course is pretty bad for your motherboard. So I decided to take this out of commission for now until I can figure out what's wrong with it. I suspect it's either a bad capacitor. I suspect it's either a bunch of bad capacitors or a bad voltage regulator. So we'll take a look at the inside here. You can see the Cooler Master fan. I had to kind of hack fuck into here with some heat shrink tubing. Good fan though. The original fan had a plastic bearing in it. It died rather abruptly after being shipped. But let's take a look at the power supply. Of course you have your plug right there, and the plug has decent filtering on it. It has big filter cap with a resistor at the bottom there, two more smaller capacitors that handle now what these capacitors do is they help prevent arcing and sparks and stuff when you plug the power cord in. And of course we have the mains leading into the board there, and it goes through that coil and through that capacitor and then through a couple more of these little blue capacitors, which are called Y capacitors most of the time, and then it goes through a coil. It goes through these coils and the capacitors to that coil and to the rectifier, which is right there. This thing actually has a rectifier, a bridge rectifier module in there. Then it goes through another capacitor, probably through that resistor down there. Let's move this into the light more. And then it goes to that coil. And then it goes to a single filter capacitor. Now this is not a particularly good brand of capacitor. It's a Capzon 47 microfarad 450 volts. So 47 microfarads. That is really bad filtering. That's really bad filtering actually. Most of the ones I see in power supplies are around 8. I've seen some that go up to 850, and that's in just a 400 watt power supply. I know this one isn't that many watts, but still, this explains why when I had a video card in this system, the picture was kind of ripply. Probably because of the ripple current. Of course, we have some ICs down there. Controller chip, looks like. Puny little transformer. That is a small transformer. Wow. So is that one. And then here are the input. I forgot about the input. There, the input. That's a transistor. That's probably a voltage regulator. Then you get the output transistors, some output filtering, a bunch of capacitors here. Looks like they put all they can fit on there. And there appears to be a diode back there too. So, as you can see, none of the capacitors look bad. So none of them are in super bad shape, which is good. But what I have a feeling happened is that because this filter capacitor is only 47 microfarads, which is pretty crappy if you ask me, and the fact that they're Capzon, C-A-P-X-O-N. Any capacitor brand with an X in it is probably Chinese crap. And that's what I'm betting happened in here. So I figure what I should probably do is replace the filter cap and see if that doesn't help. If that doesn't do anything, then it's probably the voltage regulator. And if it's the voltage regulator, I'm just not even going to frickin' bother and just use a different power supply, because it's not worth most of the time it's not worth fixing these unless it's just capacitors or something simple like that. But yeah, that's the autopsy of this thing. So nothing looks really bad, so it didn't get bad enough to the fact that the power supply would kill itself. So I'll try. I think the best course of action is replace that 47 microfarad capacitor with one that's probably a little bit higher in microfarads, maybe a 100 microfarad United Chemicon capacitor, and see what that does. Or a Panasonic PW. or is it Panasonic PW? I forget who has the PW series. I forget. I think that might be United Chemicon. I can't remember. I have to look it up. But I'm going to get a power supply related capacitor at 105C grade 1 probably, and go from there. So as you can see, this capacitor has good filtering, but it has good filtering as far as the input goes, but bad filtering as far as the main filter cap goes. And it has no MOVs at all anywhere. So this power supply had to have no surge protection at all. So if you were to plug a power supply like this into the wall, make sure it's plugged into a surge protector, and a good one at that, so that it doesn't blow back on this thing. But there you go. That's the autopsy of the FSP group power supply out of the Derptop. There you go. Have a good one, everybody. Ciao.